Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to share my morning with you today. We will kind of be moseying through one of my favorite times of the day, and that is out here in our yard. Now, this is usually the first thing I do after seeing Ronnie out the door for the day. I love to be out in the stillness of the morning, watching all of nature gear up for the day as the birds buzz around, singing from limb to feeder, and yes, even watching the snails make their way to a cool cover before the heat of the day breaks through. Each little bit is something to take in and thank the Lord for. Like the saying goes, it's the little things in life. What are you doing, D-Baxter? Obviously, the girls love spending time outside as well, and it looks like they're going to have to be cleaned up before they head back in. But the cool mornings give them a chance to be a little rambunctious and obviously very messy, but it is the perfect time to let them play before it just gets too hot. Now, before I head back inside, I want to quickly wipe off the little bit of decor that I have out here and straighten up the pillows after the girls. And then I will take you inside to start on some dinner. Now, I have an afternoon appointment, and I do better if I get things done in the morning before I leave so that I'm not worried about it while I'm gone or having to rush back to get dinner made before Ronnie makes it home. Now, if you're anything like me, that is how my brain works. It has nothing to do with Ronnie wanting food on the table as soon as he gets home. It has all to do with how I want things done, and it just makes my life a little bit easier to get things done earlier when I need to. Now, I am really excited to share a new recipe with you today. It is new to me as well. I have never made it before, but it ends up turning out so good, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it when we get back inside. Hello friends, we are back in the kitchen yet again this week. It seems like you have really enjoyed the last couple of weeks of being in the kitchen and just kind of sharing recipes, coming along with me on my day. Now I wanted to share a new recipe with you. It's new to me. I have never made it before, but it sounds so good and it seems really easy to do. Now, if you watch my last video, you will know that I quickly mentioned I'm kind of on a different diet right now. Now, this diet is something that I started because we kind of had a health scare in our family. My oldest brother, Keith, ended up in the hospital a couple weeks ago. He had 2 heart attacks in one day. Now, he is doing absolutely amazing right now. The day of the heart attack, that afternoon, I left the hospital feeling so relieved. I was so scared going in. I was crying down the hall. It scared me so bad because we've lost our parents. So there's only my 2 brothers left. We lost a brother in between my dad and my mom. And so it's my oldest brother and then the youngest one, who is 8 years older than I am. Keith is 15 years older than I am. But he was a picture of health, in my opinion. He's always been very thin, never really had to worry about diet like I have. I've always been the heavier one, on the heavier side. But I'm not doing this diet to lose weight like I had mentioned earlier, even though I have lost 10 pounds in the last 2 weeks, and so has he. Now, my sister-in-law has been on this diet for, I think she said, a little over 2 years. She's on a plant-based diet, and that is because she has fought lupus for many years. She's also had a kidney transplant, and this diet has helped her so much. She hasn't rejected her kidney. She's off of a lot of her medications. Her numbers are amazing, and she's just been very dedicated to her health. Well, sitting there in the hospital, listening to the medical staff talk about no red meat, this and that, I just felt like it was time for me to change. Now, my brothers and I have hereditary heart issues on both sides of the family. My mom and my dad both had heart issues of a different kind, so we have always kind of worried about that in the back of our mind. So we're not as young as we used to be, and I think it is past time to really put in the effort to be more healthy. So this recipe is a white bean fettuccine Alfredo with peas and sun-dried tomatoes. It sounds absolutely amazing. Now, normally I love fettuccine Alfredo, but this is going to be very different as far as what goes into the recipe. So I want to go ahead and make this, show you how it's done. Now, what I will do is I will definitely link this recipe in the description box down below so you can go over to the site that I am gathering all of my recipes from. But for now, let's go ahead and get started on this recipe. Okay, moving on to the ingredients. You're going to start with some nutritional yeast, fresh garlic, almond butter, sun-dried tomatoes, cannellini beans, some whole wheat pasta, snap peas, and a pinch of salt and pepper to season. It's that easy. There's not a lot to it, and it ends up being so good. So let's get started. I want to get my pasta into some boiling water, get that started, and then we'll move on to preparing the other ingredients. Okay, moving on. The first ingredient I am going to begin prepping is the snap peas. These are a definite favorite of mine because they bring such a freshness to everything I use them in, so they made this recipe even more appealing to me. Now I have washed them off and am cutting the ends off, and then we'll cut them in half per the recipe, and they will be added to the pasta water just before it is done. The next 4 ingredients on the list will all make their way into my food processor in order to create the delicious and very healthy sauce. So I begin by rinsing my beans, peeling my garlic, adding in the nutritional yeast and almond butter. I pulsed all that together until it was nice and creamy, and the recipe also called for a little bit of that pasta water to be reserved and added into the sauce to make an even creamier consistency. I know this recipe might seem a little on the weird side when it comes to preparing a fettuccine Alfredo, but don't let the unique ingredients fool you. It comes out being a great, healthy version of something that I really enjoy, and I love that. Adding in the sun-dried tomatoes gave it that intense sweet tartness you find in them, plus it adds another deep, beautiful color as well. Now, when I did prepare my plate later that evening, I did add on some fresh grape tomatoes and mushrooms to top it all off. with even more freshness, which paired extremely well with the boldness of the sauce. I would definitely make this recipe again, and I'm pretty sure my sister-in-law will be making it as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I am going to share another recipe with you that I just kind of threw together for dinner for my family. Again, I am going to an appointment later, and so I wanted to get things prepped and done before I left, so we'll move on to that next. Moving on to my family's dinner, I started by getting some potatoes into the microwave to soften them up before roasting them off in the oven. And I'll be preparing some chicken, but decided to go ahead and marinate the other half for another day. And though I have made a drastic change in my diet, I decided to go a little slower for my family. Now, we have said goodbye to red meat for the most part. Now, that's not to say they won't ever eat it again throughout the year, but for the day-to-day, I'm trying to keep them from eating anything that stands on four legs. Thankfully, they are very open to the change, so it has made it a lot easier. I'm also trying to cut back on their fat intake by using a lot less butter and oils in their meals as well. So baking, roasting, grilling, and even using the air fryer has become key. And then just kind of cutting things in half and slowly making a decline over time is what we're planning on doing. For this evening's chicken recipe, I simply threw together a very easy coating using some breadcrumbs, a ranch seasoning packet, garlic and onion powder, and then scrambled an egg in a separate bowl for dredging. And that was it. Now, once I got this together, my potatoes were done in the microwave, so I took those out and wanted to get those cut up before I started on my chicken as an added food safety measure. I really like cutting my chicken last just to keep things nice and neat, and I don't have to worry about cross-contamination. Once I have the potatoes cut up, I do drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil and then use some of those same seasonings that I used on the chicken just to make this process really easy. Now, I did add on a little sprinkle of Parmesan cheese in the end for just an added bonus. Another trick that I really like to do is to divide my baking sheet into two by using 2 strips of foil. This also cuts down on the cleanup as well, so this is a definite win-win in my opinion. I did decide to add half a slice of thin Swiss cheese to each chicken breast, so I simply cut a slit in the side to add that in before dredging in the crumbs, then into the egg mixture and back into the crumbs one last time before placing them on a baking sheet. Now, I baked these for about 25 to 30 minutes at 400 degrees, and they were a hit that evening. I love when something made up and so simple comes together that well. Now on to the vegetable. My family absolutely loves roasted asparagus in the oven. It's so easy. All I do, wash them off, cut off the ends, drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil, put a little bit of salt and pepper on them to taste, and throw them in the oven. Now I watch them pretty close. They are in there for about 7 minutes at 400 because they are going to be reheated in the microwave this evening because of my appointment. So I don't want to overcook them. Now I've taken the potatoes out to kind of mix them around, check on the chicken, put that back in, and I am going to make a quick Hollandaise packet. Ronnie loves Hollandaise on his asparagus. Now, again, I'm trying to cut back a little bit on butter. So any recipe that is asking for butter, I'm trying to do half as much. But this Hollandaise sauce is something that I really like keeping on hand because it's so easy to make and it just adds a very velvety texture and great taste. Ronnie really enjoys. Now, here is the end product. The chicken and potatoes came out amazing. Okay, friends, I am going to wrap this one up. I hope this video brought you some motivation to get in the kitchen and maybe try something completely different or just make something up as you go along, whichever it may be. Don't ever be intimidated to try something new. Just take it one step at a time, and most of the time it's really easy to accomplish. Now, if you are new here, I would absolutely love for you to consider subscribing. All you need to do is hit that little red subscribe button right down below, and it's absolutely free. But for now, I want to wish you all a wonderful rest of your week. Remember to stay safe, be blessed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.